From Mamamia, welcome to the Spills Watch Party, where we unpack the biggest shows and movies that everyone is talking about. Now, this is a brand new podcast where we're not just watching TV during work hours, although we are kind of doing that, but because we are diving deep into them. We'll have all the hot takes and working theories that you expect from the spill, plus we'll also go behind the scenes and give you all the tea there too. Today, we're talking about a new movie adaptation of one of the biggest book releases of this century. That is big words, but I do stand by them. It's Richard Osman's whodunnit, The Thursday Murder Club, which, if you didn't know, dropped on Netflix today. If you have not yet watched it, consider this your warning. We are heading deep into spoiler territory, so pause this podcast, go and watch the film, and we'll meet you back here in about 2 hours' time.
There she is. Joyce, are you a nurse? Bang on target. I'm Elizabeth. Would you take a look at that for me, please?
Dear God.
'Tis a lot of blood. Would you care to join us to discuss things further? Who is us? I'm sorry, how rude of me. We're the Thursday Murder Club.
I'm Taylor Strano. I'm a journalist and host of Mamamia's news podcast, The Quickie, and I recently got my butt into gear and finally read/listened to the first installment of The Thursday Murder Club. Now, I'm not here solo today. Luckily, I've brought some friends with me, one of whom is all over this story and the law like a little bit of a rash. Sorry, I've introduced you as like having a rash, and that's gross, but that's not what I mean. I just want you to know all about this.
It's me, the rash. Hi, my name is Georgie Page. I'm a group executive producer here at Mamamia, and The Thursday Murder Club is my number one favourite book.
And my name's Courtney Amenhauser. I'm also a group executive producer. And Georgie, please don't cancel me, but I haven't read the book.
What have you been doing?
I'm so sorry.
I can feel the tension in this
feel like
room
you're gonna kick me
rising.
out.
I feel like I've very quickly become the moderator, and that's fine. I'm very comfortable. But if you, like Courtney, have not read the book, that is okay. You get a whole pass today because we are, of course, talking about the film, The Thursday Murder Club. This is watch party, not read party. So don't worry. Of course, we'll touch a little bit on the book, but then we're going full throttle on all things the movie. Here's the top line of what you need to know before we get stuck in. This was the debut book in a series by Richard Osman. It was released back in 2020, which feels like, 3,000 years ago. Does that feel about right, guys?
Oh, at least.
So far, there are 4 books in this series. They all debuted in the top of the UK bestsellers list, aka they are totally beloved. As of April this year, there were over 15 million copies that have been sold globally.
Wow.
I suspect there's probably going to be a few more after this film comes out, and of course after our glowing podcast. And then there's heaps of other accolades, like New York Times bestseller list. It's the fastest selling adult crime book of all time. And now we are here today to discuss the film adaptation. Now, Courtney, Georgie, we have all seen the film. We're going to dive into it in a moment, but I want to hear a one-line review from you both. I'll go first. My review, it's delicious, it's delightful, but I do have notes. Georgie?
I'm going to use a big word.
Yep.
I'm going to call it a cozy masterpiece that absolutely lives up to the book.
Masterpiece is a big word.
It's a big word, but I stand by it.
I thought you meant cozy. Okay, yep. Courtney?
Okay, mine is my ideal retirement setup.
Yeah.
Aspirational.
Aspirational. Gosh, I think I really need to start thinking about my superannuation.
I know, it's like a big ad for super, isn't it?
It is, kind of.
I didn't think that's where this was going to go today. My mind was already racing a million miles a minute. I had so much to talk about, and now I have to add super to the mix, so that's fine. If you're wondering what we're actually going to cover in this episode, Georgie, what will we teach the people?
Okay, this episode is going to be filled with all the facts that you want to know about this movie, including the really unique way that this book came to the screen, and also the brilliant little nepo relationship that you may not have realised when you watched it.
I just cracked a little smile. I love the word nepo. I love it when we accuse people of doing things when they don't deserve it, but I'm keen to hear who the nepo is in this situation.
Me too, especially because I've only seen the film as well, and I'm really eager to dive into all of the casting because there's been a bit of controversy online. And Georgie, I know how passionate you are about this film and this book, and I know that you're going to be able to get me up to speed.
I have so much to say. Also, I'm going to tell you what's coming next in the Thursday Murder Club universe. There are developments.
Okay, so the Thursday Murder Club follows a group of friends in a retirement home who gather to solve murders for fun. Like I said, this is my ideal retirement setup. I hope I'm in some fun clubs like that and living with some cool cats like they are in this film. But what's really interesting is that they then find themselves in a live case. So I want to know about the lore here first before we get really stuck in. So how can we get clear on how this film came about, Georgie? You mentioned it earlier.
So to understand, I think you need to understand who Richard Osman is, right?
Okay, I know Richard Osman from The Rest is Entertainment, but that's all.
Oh, just one of the best podcasts ever. He's actually a TV exec. So he created Deal or No Deal.
Massive.
What an awesome show. Thank you so much. It's sort of like he gave us Meghan Markle, because remember, one of her first jobs was opening the briefcases on that show.
I did not know that. That is huge.
I feel like that really prepared her for Suits. I'm sure there's a link there between holding briefcases in Suits and opening them on Deal or No Deal. Keep going.
He's also a TV host. He's a panelist on all those sort of British entertainment comedy shows. He actually was voted in the top 10 most popular British TV stars, which means if he was in Australia, he would absolutely have a Logie. He probably would have a shelf of Logies, right? He's adored. He's really clever. He's really interesting. His knowledge of entertainment as well is just really revered. I assume you would throw the word national treasure in.
I was going to say he sounds like a bit of a darling of the entertainment industry in
He's
the UK.
absolutely divine. I love him.
Do you know, Richard Osman is such a national treasure that I now in my TikTok algorithm am getting served like old clips of Richard Osman game shows, like Pointless, and like there's like little 10-second grabs, and he's just so charming.
So he created those shows, and when he went to pitch them, he and his co-creator would sort of act them out, you know, to try and get them commissioned. At one of the shows, they said, "This is so good, you guys are the hosts." And that's how he got into hosting. He's just the behind-the-scenes guy.
So then what led him to making a book about murder mysteries in a retirement home? Because I feel like the entertainment TV to debut novel about crime pipeline is pretty long.
Well, a lot of British comedians have written books. I've read a lot of them. Some are hits, some are misses. The reason that he wrote this is because he was going to visit his mum in a retirement community in Sussex. He said it was surrounded by nature, it was really beautiful, and he started to think, this would be a great place for a murder. I'm serious that he actually started to think this. More that this was a bunch of interesting people. He said, everyone I spoke to at this retirement community had this amazing backstory, but was probably underestimated because of their age. So he thought, actually, if something happened and these people could band together, sort of Golden Girl style, maybe they could solve a crime.
So unassuming of a location to set this.
And so beautiful, right? And there's this line in the movie that's so good that Ron says to Ian Bentham at the protest. He says, there's people here who have seen off better men than you. We've got teachers and soldiers, doctors and bankers. And I think that's so easy to forget when you see elderly people, that they've had these amazing lives, and there's probably so much wisdom there, but there's also an element of invisibility there. And that's what makes a book so interesting.
And so what else makes this story special to you, Georgie?
I think our news cycle has been bleak for a really, really long time. This book came out, like Taylor said, in September 2020. Remember what that time was like with all the sourdough and the Tiger King and stuff? When we found things to clutch onto that made us happy during that really difficult time, we held on with two hands, and this really was one of these things. And it created an amazing online community of Thursday Murder Club fans. It became really, really big in like book clubs and things like that. It's one of those books that I read and I felt this immediate sense of loss when it was over, like I wasn't part of something anymore, and I couldn't wait for the next book to come. I just think it's a really, really joyful book. I think it speaks beautifully about humanity and about human beings. It seems like a really light read, but it actually is complex and it has so many layers. It's got like I suppose you'd call it like this deep emotional core. I'm going deep here already.
Oof.
To me, the Thursday Murder Club means a great deal to a great many people. And I think that's why it's just such a special story.
We can end the podcast there, I reckon.
I think that's it. We can wrap it up, boys.
I love this book, and I know we're not going to talk too much about the book today, but when you have the luxury of chapters and lots of pages, you're able to build this really immersive world, like welcome to books. Hello, if you didn't know that's how they work. But what I love specifically about the Thursday Murder Club is that I am nowhere near that stage of life, right? Like Courtney, Georgie, we're all a little bit further off from retiring than like the people in this book, right? But I still felt such a sense of connection and understanding with these characters. Some of them, like we've mentioned already, have been like, you know, rendered as a little bit useless or unassuming or maybe even a little bit invisible at different times in our lives. And we've all kind of felt that way at one stage or another. Yeah. There's great sadness and great humor. This is a book that I usually exclusively will read nonfiction, like I'm a memoir kind of gal. So reading murder mystery for me was a pretty uncharted territory. And I found myself at multiple points laughing out loud, and then at other points like really shedding a tear. And Georgie, there were multiple times that I called you and I was like, I finished the book, I've got to talk about this thing, or I can't believe this thing just happened.
I loved it.
And I really felt that way in the film as well. Like there were parts that I knew were coming up and anticipating them, and then was still laughing at them even though I knew it was about to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, as someone who hasn't read the book, I had that experience watching it as well. Like I was crying at, we're going to get into the weeds of it more, but there were moments where I was genuinely crying, and there are other bits where I was like giving a big guttural laugh out loud. So yeah, I think it still hits, even though, I haven't waded into the novel itself. I think it still translates for screen. But I'm keen to read the book now, especially after hearing these, this experience that you've both had.
I cried 4 times in the last 15 minutes about 4 different things.
Yes.
I'm not even embarrassed.
No, the last 30 minutes really got me.
Georgie, film to book adaptations, they don't just happen. I was doing some research because, in case you guys missed it, I'm a journalist. Little Women was written in the 1800s, and nearly 50 years later it ended up on screen for the very first time. There's been many an adaptation. Now, film adaptations are not always that long. I think Twilight was like 3 years or something. But it is a process nonetheless. Lots of hands go into the pie when you are doing a book to film adaptation, and you've also like got to get out there and then convince someone to make it happen. But tell us, that's not necessarily the path that Richard Osman's book took to making its way to Netflix. How did that become a Netflix original?
I think this is really unique. I haven't heard of this happening with any books before. So obviously this is a joint production between Netflix and Steven Spielberg's production company, Amblin. Amblin actually obtained the rights to this book before it was published. Like this never happens, right? Normally agents would discourage you doing this because they'd say, oh, okay, if there's interest, let's try and get a bidding war happening when it gets really popular. But I think when Steven Spielberg makes you an offer, you sort of go, it's the best we're ever going to get, except you can have anything you want.
Do you reckon Richard Osman's literary agent was just like, Spielberg's on the line, he's in, he's all in, quickly finish the book, quickly Richard? Or do you reckon he was like, we could still do a bidding war, like play it cool?
Yeah, I think when Steven Spielberg comes in, you just sort of go, I'm in good hands, right? And it's not just Steven Spielberg, it's Chris Columbus. So we know him from, how's this for a list? Home Alone, Mrs. Doubtfire, the first 2 Harry Potter films, basically my entire DVD library. DVDs, they were a thing.
My
Kids
childhood.
looked them up.
It's a DVD, Georgie. I don't know that.
Look it up, Taylor. Anyway, so Chris Columbus was asked by Steven Spielberg, imagine being on the phone for that call, to read these books. And he said he became a rabid fanboy. Join the club, Chris Columbus. Now, by all accounts, Chris Columbus is an absolute delight. And do you know he called the stars of this movie the finest cast I have worked with since Potter? What a call.
Wow. What a huge call. What a compliment. To be fair, though, the cast of this film.
It is all-star, but there's been controversy regardless.
Do you know 2 names who are quite surprising, who were early rumours of casting who didn't get the role that I just wanted to float by you and see what you think? Meryl Streep.
For Elizabeth?
Look, I'm assuming so. She is American.
She's not a Joyce.
She's not a Joyce. She'd have to be Elizabeth. The other one, Viola Davis.
Wow.
Ooh.
Do you know which character for Viola?
No, I don't. But no,
Again, not a Joyce.
Not a Joyce.
But I'd kind of love to see them play a Joyce.
Guys, I'm very protective of Joyce. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, let's talk about who actually got the roles. We've got Helen Mirren, obviously.
Oh,
we love.
Absolutely heaven. She's who I pictured. And I read the book before she got cast. She's absolutely who I pictured in this role. And there's a fantastic little throw in the movie to her most famous role as well. Keep
As
an eye out for that.
Elizabeth? Wait, what?
Yes, Elizabeth as Elizabeth. You're right.
No, but is that the moment you're talking about?
As Queen
Okay.
Elizabeth.
Yes, Helen Mirren, a total baddie. One thing I observed is her agility. I want to be able to run like that at 80.
Me too. There's a lot of fast-paced movement in this film for what is meant to be a retirement home.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I was like, she can run better than me now, and I'm 34.
There's a lot of Pilates, aqua aerobics, Tai Chi happening there.
Very impressive. Then we've got Sir Ben Kingsley as the ex-psychiatrist, Ibrahim.
What beautiful casting. And again, someone I was sort of picturing at the time. He's very wise. He's very stoic. It actually seems like him as a person. Not that I've ever met Sir Ben Kingsley, but feeling like I have, I really think he was probably playing a lovely version of himself.
Taylor, do you want to talk us through Joyce?
Okay, I do want to talk you through Joyce. Thank you so much for asking. Joyce is played by the incredible Celia Imrie, known for her most famous role of
Aunt Una.
on Bridget Jones.
Incredible.
Oh, no. Guys, that's the wrong answer. What do you mean?
That's where I know her from.
Tarts and Vickers Ball.
No, guys, come on.
Uncle Jeffrey?
Pull your heads out of your ass. I'm talking about Calendar Girls, obviously.
I haven't seen Calendar Girls, but wow, what an iconic film. Was
The
it from-
party's over. Wrap it up. Get out of here. Yes, Calendar Girls. Also, she was fantastic in The Very Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. I love Calendar Girls. It holds a very special place in my heart. She plays a character also called Celia. Don't touch the buns. If you know, you know. Courtney wouldn't know. She reminds me so much of my grandma in, not that my grandma ever posed for a nude calendar to save her small country town, although if she did, I would support her in doing so.
That you know of?
Well, that I know of. She's lived a life like the characters in the Thursday Murder Club. She is just this really wholesome, joyous, like beam of sunshine and hope and positivity.
Oh,
And I think that she really brings that to this film as well.
I love that. I think she was perfectly cast. A+, 10 out of 10.
She has a lot of nuance as well in her character. I feel like, she comes in quite underestimated. She's trying to, stand out on her own against her daughter. And then she's also coming into this clique that exists of the Thursday Murder Club. And she's an outsider, but she brings so much warmth and kind of connects them in this new way.
I love that you can be in your 70s or 80s and still be the new kid on the block.
Yes.
Oh, it never ends, does it? And it's such an important role as well because the book is mainly told through Joyce's diary.
Completely.
So you need to make sure you cast that well. And I think they did.
Okay, I can see why you're so protective of Joyce now, knowing
Thank
that
you.
the book is written from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking notes.
Okay, the final one.
Pierce Brosnan.
We have to brace. Georgie.
I don't think you have to brace. I loved Pierce Brosnan as Ron. Now, in the book, Court, he's described as having a neck tattoo and being like a really sort of rough former trade unionist. He was fan cast as being played by Ray Winston.
Oh, I like that. I can see that for sure.
So there was a lot of controversy. And you know why? It's because Pierce Brosnan is so hot. I feel it's hottest to have controversy about him because he's a fantastic actor. He was so good as Ron.
He was great. I loved watching him on screen.
He's getting hotter as well, isn't he?
He's got great hair. That's what I'll say.
Guys, he did a great job as Ron. Was he Red Ron Ritchie, though? Was he the rough and tumble unionist from years gone by that led the troops, that walked off building sites, that probably owned a denim vest or three? I'm not convinced. I'm sorry. I loved watching him. Like, it's Pierce freaking Brosnan. Of course he's going to be good in whatever he does. But I do think that somebody else probably should have played Ron.
Well, I went back to the source for this to look up what Richard Osman said about it. He said you do need to have some surprises in casting, and this was a surprise. And this is what he said, and I love this so much. He said, Pierce Brosnan is who Ron would want to play Ron. Isn't that just spot
That's
on?
so true.
That's really
It is
funny.
spot on. And you know what? You haven't lived until you've seen Pierce Brosnan doing aqua aerobics to Disco Inferno. That's one of the
This is so
best things I've
true.
ever seen. The joy on that man's face, I think he was just terrific. Look, there's been controversy about his accent, saying he sort of, ducked and dived all over Europe with that accent. I thought he did a really good job. He just looks like he's having fun in every role he plays at this stage of his career, starting with Mamamia.
He is having fun. And I also think, maybe he didn't come across as this rough and tumble character that the book portrays. And, guilty, haven't read the book. But when I was just watching it purely as an observer of the film, I saw his wealthy son with TV money and I went, he's in his wealthy era. His son is paying for this fancy retirement village for him and he gets to live out his twilight years in, around rich people.
You're bang on with that, right? Because the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, there's other people that I would have cast in this role. But I'm like, he's in a very wealthy retirement home. Like he may have at one stage had a neck tattoo and necked a pint at the pub and put it away. But I'm pretty sure he has at some stage in his life polished up and is now in his twilight years and is enjoying them in a very luxurious setting.
Totally.
Yeah, there's dancing on ice money there, isn't there?
It sure is.
Speaking of, a couple of honourable mentions to other people who've been cast in this film. Now, I feel like we are going to go to war over Jason Ritchie, who is Ron's son, played by Tom Ellis. You've got strong feelings about this. So do I. Let's have it out. Come on.
Strong, lusty feelings. He was gorgeous. I loved him. He was exactly how I pictured Jason Ritchie to be. I actually hadn't seen Tom Ellis in things, which I'm told by a producer is sacrilegious because he was Lucifer, but I thought he was really good.
Was it the ice skates?
You know
Yeah, what did it for you?
I think a man who can dance on ice, how clever.
Is it because he was somewhat partially fake related to Pierce Brosnan?
Well, it was a very good-looking duo. I was sort of attracted to father and son. What was your problem with him?
He just wasn't hot enough.
Oh, okay.
There was not enough sex appeal. And I'm so sorry, but I do have a replacement in mind if they want to recast this role going forward. I think that would be okay. Theo James, a la The White Lotus and The Gentleman. That's who I want to be a boxer turned ice skater. It's Theo James.
I don't know if Theo James is tough enough.
Have you seen The Gentleman?
No,
He
but
took Lady Mary's virginity in Downton as well.
Whoa, okay. That sounds pretty tough.
He's got range is what we're saying, Courtney.
Okay, I just think of him in White Lotus where he just comes across as like a bit too scrubbed up for me. Do you know what I mean?
I do, but then in The Gentleman, he's like running a drug ring.
Okay, I need to watch that, obviously.
Rub some dirt on your face and get on with it.
He's got range.
He's got range.
Copy that.
We also have to take a moment to talk about Bogdan,
Oh, yes.
aka Henry Lloyd Hughes. Now, famous author Marion Keyes is like completely obsessed with Bogdan, like outwardly, unashamedly. And I get it because he's just like this sweet Polish man and I love him and he tried to do the right thing.
He is such a lovely character. If I have any criticism of the movie, I don't think the movie does the character of Bogdan justice. I know they didn't have the time that the book does, but he's just so beautiful. Like the scene we meet him, he's sitting down for a coffee with David Tennant. The waitress comes over and gives David Tennant his coffee and Bogdan goes, thanks, because David Tennant's character doesn't even say thanks to waitresses. So you know he's a baddie from the first scene.
Absolutely. If you're rude to wait staff, that's a dead giveaway.
Get out of my face.
Yeah, you kind of deserve to be murdered. Oh, no, I can't say that. Or can you? Also, speaking of baddies, Richard E. Grant, aka Bobby Tanner. I gotta say,
gosh.
I was not expecting him to be as terrifying as he was in this film. Like, thank God that he was positioned in a florist because I'm not convinced that there would be any living things thriving around this man because his energy was so dark.
It was so amazing. And just like the visual of the red roses and the blood on his hands and the thorns, it was so delicious.
Georgie, you famously don't like horror films. You don't like scary things in general. Were you scared of Bobby Tanner?
No, I was more scared of Elizabeth being followed by a man in a graveyard.
Yes, that's a real fear.
But I thought Richard E. Grant was just wonderful. I didn't realise florists were covered with so much blood so often, but I thought he was really wonderful.
Also, just very quickly, I wrote myself a note that I have to share with the group. Note from me while watching the film. Sorry, Tony Curran looks like he should be a resident in Cooper's Chase, ... WTF. He was too old. The partial owner of Cooper's Chase, who does die, Tony Curran, who is the residents' last hope of keeping their home before it gets knocked down for development by Ian Bentham, he was too old. Like, he looked like he was meant to live there.
He sort of looked like how Ron was in the books.
Yeah.
Maybe he auditioned for that.
Consolation prize.
If you're going to lose to Pierce Brosnan. Now, do you want to know my Nepo fact?
Yes.
I'm dying to know, Georgie, please.
I love an Nepo.
And we know Joanna, who is Joyce's daughter. Joanna is played by Ingrid Oliver, who is Richard Osman's real-life wife.
Whoa.
I love nepotism in movies because do you just always second screen everything you're watching because you're on Internet Movie Database looking up the facts? I just want to know who everyone is in a relationship with. Like, it just makes me feel better if I'm watching something with my husband to interrupt an important moment and go, do you know that this just divorced someone from the first series of 90210?
We watch movies in the exact same way.
I'm sure he
So
appreciates
annoying.
that.
So annoying for everyone around us. But Ingrid Oliver is an actress. She's not just someone bought in off the street. She was in Doctor Who and she's really great as Joanna, actually.
She does. She plays that part of like distant daughter who kind of has her own thing going on very well. So I feel like one of the things that keeps bouncing around when we talk about the Thursday Murder Club is age is at the center of this story. Like, yes, there are murders, obviously, because it's a murder mystery, but like aging and the way that aging is portrayed and played out on screen is one of the big main anchor points for when people critique and talk about this film. And I feel like it's done in such a clever way. Like, we're set up to undermine these people from the get-go, right? Like the cops, their families. Ian Bentham underestimates them because they're old, maybe like they're a little bit useless and they're unable to keep up with these modern times. But it also feels like that's their greatest superpower, Georgie.
Yeah, they love those ageist tropes, don't they? Like the confusion when Ron pretends to the police officer that he has no idea what's going on, and the helplessness, like you said, when she goes to the police. I think it's really clever that they get our generalizations and throw them back in our faces like that.
It's exactly like what you were saying before as well. Like, these are all people who have lived very interesting lives. Like, Ibrahim was a psychiatrist, and they've all sort of acquired these useful skills that end up making them kind of like the perfect murder mystery team. It's never explicitly stated in the book, but it is in the film, Courtney, and I wonder how you feel about this. Elizabeth, it's a known fact that she was like basically the head of MI6 at one point in her career.
Yeah, it's huge. Like imagine just wandering around your regular workplace knowing that someone used to be like this crazy, amazing spy.
She was like a super spy. She wasn't just a spy, she was the spy.
Yeah, she was the big dog.
If you were going to solve murders with somebody, I reckon that's someone you'd want to have on your team.
Absolutely. And I think it's just a really clever way that, as you say, Georgie, they play into these generalizations and it allows them to be a bit undercover in their own clever, really intelligent way and subvert what everyone's assuming of them.
I think you're right. Like a really beautiful example of that is when they so seamlessly flip the script on Donna, the young up-and-coming constable in the police station. So Joyce and Elizabeth, they go to her, they act all batty, like she's lost her bag, she's so sad about it. They end up saying that she's a nun so they can get in the private room and Donna can question them, only to then flip it, and before she realizes it, she is the one being interrogated and shaken down for information about murder.
I love that scene. I think it's played beautifully to comic effect. Another thing that I really love is how old people sort of have this freedom to do what they want. And if you notice that every decade you get older in your life, you get a little bit closer to that sort of like, I'm going to do what I want when I want to do it. It looks so freeing and I can't wait to be their age.
Yeah, I feel like every decade you just give less fucks. You're like, well, time is finite. It's precious. I'm just going to, be honest.
Do water aerobics.
I'm going to paint this man's penis into the painting, even though he's got a thingy on. What's it called? A bandana?
A cloth? A
A loincloth.
Paint that penis into the picture. Wiser words have never been spoken. Thank you, Courtney Hammenhauser. There's another point that I want to touch on when it comes to the idea of aging, and there's a real care and tenderness in how these relationships between these characters play out. Joyce, for instance, and I'm always going to talk about Joyce. I love Joyce in case that wasn't apparent. I think it's really honest and I think unfortunately for a lot of people will be quite relatable. The relationship between her and her daughter Joanna, like she's constantly seeking approval from Joanna. She just wants to spend time with her. Joanna's got her own thing going on in the city. And although we don't see too much of their relationship in the film, the parts that we do see really surmise that idea of, well, she's getting older. She's not needed as much as she probably once was as a mum and a nurse and a caregiver to her family.
I think that is a really tricky relationship to watch, and they portrayed it really well because Joyce's daughter doesn't visit her enough. And I think that makes me feel guilty about family members of mine. I think it makes a lot of people go, what time are we wasting with the people that we love? It's actually really quite difficult to watch.
Well, we talk about the sandwich generation a lot, right? And I feel like we're seeing that play out in real time here because Joanna, although she doesn't have a family of her own, she's got a life going on in one part of the country. Her mum is in the other part, and getting that balancing act right, like you said, Georgie, is something that people really reconcile with, of how to actually do that correctly.
Yeah, with all the sort of fun and light sides of aging that they show all the serious ones too.
Yeah, there's another key relationship that we actually haven't touched on yet, but it does follow that same thread about the depictions of aging on screen. I'm talking, of course, about Elizabeth and her husband, Stephen.
Oh,
That's where I was brought to tears in the final scene when they're dancing together.
He is a stunning character.
He's amazing.
Beautifully played by Jonathan Pryce. So subtle. The relationship between him and Helen Mirren was just really magnetic to watch on screen. It's very touching, but it's really hard to watch someone love another person who is slipping into dementia and coping with it in the way that she copes with it. And Elizabeth's way of coping with it is grinding up sleeping pills to keep Stephen resting and in their apartment so no one realizes the extent of his dementia and he's not taken away from her. And I'm actually getting choked up even thinking about it. That's really, really hard.
Yeah.
She makes so much mention as well of like just wanting to be with Stephen and just want to sit with Stephen and have a coffee with him. And it would be lovely if Bogdan would come and visit him and play chess with him and just keep him engaged in whatever way that she can to continue as much time as she can at home with him.
The biggest thing that I took out of this movie is that the characters in the Thursday Murder Club aren't scared of dying. They're scared of dementia. They're scared of slowly dying. And that is a lot.
Well, you're right. I mean, like we look again at Elizabeth's friend and former member of the Thursday Murder Club, Penny, who becomes, for a character that doesn't actually have any spoken lines in this film, she becomes quite an integral part of the plot line. And she is like, she's fallen victim to that. And we see how her husband and how her best friend Elizabeth really try and reconcile with their friend that is gone.
Totally. And Penny's husband's behavior mimics what Helen Mirren's character is doing as well, and that enduring love and the lengths people will go. And I feel emotional now thinking about it too, Georgie. But to keep that person that you love, your beloved, by your side, like, oh. So oftentimes when a book is adapted to screen, the people who've read the book have a lot of feelings about how it measured up.
What?
What?
Crazy.
What?
That's not been us this entire podcast
Not at
episode.
all. I want to know, what do you guys think? Overall, did it stack up? Did it live up to your expectations? What do you think, Georgie?
It 100% did live up to my expectations. The biggest difference is the reason that anyone committed a crime. Like, they didn't have the time of the book. I totally get that. The book is a lot more complex in terms of every crime. But this is like a mainstream movie. I don't want to be sitting around for 4 hours while you explain it all. They wrapped it up in less than 2 hours. And I think they were just really mainstream reasons for the crime. I think they were really clever and really good.
Yeah, I think given the time constraints and you don't have the luxury of, 120 chapters or whatever, that you do the best with what you can. And I think that this adaptation does what it says on the tin, as Georgie would say. It is exactly where it needs to be. It is best placed to be consumed in one sort of sitting. What I will say is when it comes to murder mystery specifically as a genre, I actually think it's okay if you mess with the plot and you change around how or why people get murdered, or maybe even who is the murderer. Because if you're a hardcore fan of the book, you know that and you get to sit with that and love and appreciate it for what it is. And then you get something different from the film.
Yeah.
You don't always want to watch the same thing play out and play out and play out. And if not, then it's just like you get to tell more people to read the book then, right?
So true. You can experience them as different pieces of work.
Yeah, they're separate entities. I mean, like Richard Osman was an executive producer on this, but he didn't write the screenplay.
No, he chose not to write the screenplay because he said if I did it, it would be 8 hours long, which is true.
Georgie, what are the reviews saying?
Look, they're really mixed, I've got to say. And you know what? I think this movie gives me exactly what I want from it. And I think critics are meanies. Like, I feel like they are ranking The Thursday Murder Club up against The Godfather. You know what? It's cozy, it's fun, it's beautifully shot, it's really enjoyable, it's funny. I want to give it 5 out of 5 for what it's giving me, and what it's giving me is exactly what the trailer promises.
So what you're saying is don't go in expecting this to be an Oscar contender.
I don't know. I mean, the performances are pretty good.
It's Pierce Brosnan, isn't it?
I'd give his hair an Oscar.
Me too.
Well, speaking of it being a cozy watch, something that I picture when you say that is quite literally sitting on my couch and watching this at home, which is perfect because it's a Netflix original film. It had a limited cinematic release in the UK, but otherwise the rest of us will be watching it at home on our tellies, or at work if your job's like this and you get to watch it at work. Do you think this would have worked in cinema, or is this something that should only be consumed at home?
I am so thankful that we have screeners like Netflix now and I can watch it at home. I've got young kids, so I used to go to the movies a lot. I now rarely go to the movies, and it has to be a very big event to get me there. This is so perfect to watch on your couch with tea and cake. There's a lot of cake in the movie.
I love
it makes
the
you
cake.
want more cake the whole time.
The lemon drizzle cake.
Oh, the famous lemon
delicious.
drizzle.
Give me some now.
I actually said to my partner when we were watching it, I said, I think I need to get into baking. That looks so fun and just joyful. The layers.
Do you know something else that I noted while watching this is that it looked like a Netflix film. Now, if I say that, does that mean anything to either of you? Okay, that's crickets. You know how like Wes Anderson films have a very specific, strong aesthetic? Like it's bright colours and it's super camp.
Yep.
So I feel like there are certain sections of the Netflix film and TV original canon that do that as well. I think about like Knives Out or The Gentleman, for instance, which I've mentioned twice today because it's a really great series. But they all have this same sort of color graded thing where they're all a bit dark, a little bit jewel toned, and again, like actually quite camp. Like I actually think The Thursday Murder Club, it does lean camp when it needs to. Do you know where I'm going with this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
I think so. I think I personally would have loved it to be in cinema just to take my grandma to, but also I can go to her house and watch it with her on the couch and it'd be just as special, and we can eat cake and drink tea.
Do you want to hear a really good thing about the look?
Yes.
And I'm obsessed with the look. Like, I wanted to live in every one of their apartments. I'd go like, oh, Joyce's. Oh, no, Elizabeth's. Like, it was just every scene looked so beautiful. So Cooper's Chase was filmed at this beautiful Englefield house in Berkshire. What the set painters did is they went and they took pictures from every window. And every time you look outside in the movie, that's actually painted set.
Whoa.
So they have painted what you see from every window of this historic building, they have painted. And then when you see people do Tai Chi or driving golf carts and stuff, that's in front of this big mural along the back, which they have painted. Isn't that so clever?
That's phenomenal.
I would have never guessed that was a painted set.
And if you go and watch it again, there's one scene where they're all standing in a room and through the window you can see all these police cars. They are all cardboard cutouts. How clever are set painters?
Oh my gosh.
I saw when we were brainstorming for this episode, you wrote down on the whiteboard the words police cars.
You also had rude words. I want to know about
Yeah,
that.
tell us about the rude words.
I want to tell you about the word plonker, which you'll hear 2 minutes into the movie. So when they were filming, Chris Columbus had to yell, cut, when Pierce Brosnan ad-libbed the word plonker and go, what's a plonker?
Ah.
And when he found out, it's such a good word. I don't even know what the equivalent is. It's sort of like moron.
It's like tosser.
It's like tosser.
Okay.
Absolutely. So he thought that was so
She's like,
good.
yes,
he got
I'm
Pierce
learning.
Brosnan to use that again. And then apparently Helen Mirren ad-libbed the line calling police wankers. And so many people on set got offended that Chris Columbus was like, this is brilliant. We are keeping this in.
I love that. Like, that's the sign of a good director, right? It's like, no, you've outraged people. We've done something here. Keep it in.
100%.
This is the focus group.
Okay, Georgie, you told me explicitly I was not allowed, as in like I was actually banned like a naughty child from reading the second book until we recorded this podcast. So I am desperate, and I do mean desperate to know, what is next in this franchise? This is like book 1 of 5 in the Thursday Murder Club universe. Are we going to get Thursday Murder Club number 2 on Netflix?
Would you like the quote from Chris Columbus?
Yes.
The quote is, all signs seem to point in that direction. So yes.
Hell yeah. Do you know what I'm really impressed by? You said the first book came out in 2020 and there's already how many books? 5?
Well, very excitingly, you're going to have to get Taylor onto the second book really fast. The 5th book comes out next month, a little bit less than a month, September 25th. It's called The Impossible Fortune. So we're about to see the movies of The Man Who Died Twice, The Bullet That Missed, and The Last Devil to Die. Bring them all on as their own movies, I'm hoping. Also, if you are really deep in the fandom like me, I'm in Facebook groups for this thing? No worries.
Truly, Georgia like came over to my desk today and was like, I've joined Facebook groups. I thought she said I joined Facebook, and I was like, you're about 20 years late.
What
That's
year is
okay.
it?
But no, she's like in Thursday Murder Club Facebook groups now, which is great because we're going to be there too, I imagine.
They're all my people. I love it so much. So some of the best scenes were obviously cut from this, like all movies, because they just don't have the time. Chris Columbus has said that he has created some Thursday Murder Club shorts. The first one is called, for fans of Matthew Mackie, The Priest Who Wasn't a Priest, which is coming out on Netflix, which is awesome. So you can actually dive deeper into the film, which I really love. And big news, guys, the Thursday Murder Club is being made into a stage show.
Get out.
It's being made into a play.
Stop.
How great is that? So Richard Osman said that he recently went to see The Mousetrap, which is the longest running play of all time, the Agatha Christie whodunnit, to see how they did it on stage. He's working on a play at the moment of the Thursday Murder Club. Let's all go.
I mean, Courtney, as our resident theatre correspondent after
Don't out
one
me like
episode,
that.
how excited? I mean, like, I'm excited. How excited are you?
Oh, I'm so excited. And I mean, they've already got the set painting. Wheel that out.
I've got the cards.
And that's the show you can take your grandparent to. How cute. They'd love a matinee of that.